Hello, my name is Tawny, and I'm an addict. I would like to welcome you to another episode of Recovery with Twicket. Today, I would just like to go ahead and share with the audience, you know, being in recovery has brought so many blessings. For example, I am on the verge of getting my driver's license back, which is super exciting for the simple fact I have not had my driver's license since the year 2007, ladies and gentlemen. The joys of being in my mess. So, clearing up the wreckage of my past. Another blessing is I no longer have any warrants. To some normal people, that might seem like an outrageous thing to be so excited about. Let me tell you, as an addict, that's super exciting. So, also, Christmas is coming up, being that the holidays are coming around, things do get a little, wanky, weird, however you want to word it. So many years I had spent, excuse me, so many years I had spent in my addiction not being able to be around my family because I was using. This year, I get to go to Florida to spend time with my dad for the whole week of Christmas. So I am super stoked. Mind you, I have not been back to Florida since the year 2008 when I very first attempted to get sober. Now that I'm in recovery and recovery has been a new life for me, these are just some of the promises that are coming true. My dad, he's also in recovery. He has 19 years of sobriety. So kudos to my dad. And thank you for showing me the way that recovery is possible. It is a family disease, I do believe. I had gotten it from my dad. He had gotten it from his dad. Like it just kind of spirals. A lot of people may not understand what it is to be an addict exactly. So it is something that takes over your mind, body, and soul. And let me tell you, crawling out of the depths of hell is possible. Anybody who is out there struggling, I just beg of you to reach out to somebody. There are people out there that can help. That's the point of this whole podcast, is to go ahead and give people hope that there is a way out. I've lost so many people to this disease. I have a list of people that have passed away since I've gotten sober. And I leave it right there at my front door. That way, as I'm walking out the door, it's a constant reminder that these people didn't have an opportunity to keep on going. Their life was taken way too soon. I don't want to be another one of those people. I didn't want to leave my family, my kids, my parents, to have me be another statistic that died of an overdose, and I was getting very close to that time. My dad had shared with me a while back that he, at one point, had prepared himself for that phone call for me to be able to have passed from an overdose. I was 98 pounds soaking wet. I was homeless, eating out of dumpsters. That was a normal thing for me. Today, it seems very absurd. I look at past pictures that my Google photos seem to pop up at the craziest times. And I'm just very thankful that I don't have to live that way anymore. I don't have to worry about where I'm laying my head, what I'm going to eat. I go to work, I do my schooling, I go to my meetings, and I stick with my recovery community. That's what keeps me going, is my recovery community. And there's a whole lot of people, I'm also into service work. I'm not going to speak on a specific program, but being of service to others in a positive way to be able to keep the message going of recovery is very important. It gives me a mission and it makes me feel better doing something for somebody else without expecting something in return. So I'm very excited to have people join in, whether you're already in recovery or you're just struggling. Those are the people that I want to reach out to, or even somebody who's trying to understand addiction. It can tear families apart. I've had 4 kids and was not able to raise any of them because of my addiction. It was a very selfish time in my life, but those relationships are being mended again. And it just takes a lot of work and a lot of trust on both ends. It's an everyday battle, whether it's a subconscious battle or it's a conscience battle. Some days are easier than others. But I do have people around me who understand where I come from. For example, today, while I was at work, I live in a smaller community. I moved from a big city to a smaller community to completely start over. Geographical change doesn't always work, but it does help if you are willing and ready to change. I came to a place where I didn't know anybody, and I just had a few bags of clothes that were given to me because I had to have everything stolen. Um, but for example, today while I was at work, I was able to have a blessing come. There was a woman from a church that's 30 minutes away that comes into where I work, and I work at a coffee shop. Doesn't pay real big bucks, but the people that I meet while I'm there has been so wonderful. I'm about to tear up. Excuse me. Tears are good. They're healing, and again, this isn't for me to brag about the things that are happening in my life. This is just to give somebody hope that feels like there's no way out. So, being that I had moved here and I don't have any family here, I've accumulated family here in this community. So a woman from a church, apparently each year around Christmas time, they come together as a group and they put together like care packages. So I was given this huge tote that had all kinds of household things in it, such as brand new towels. It has a brand new pillowcase, laundry soap, shampoo, conditioner, body soap, Kleenexes, um, you know, and a big old ham, like huge ham. Um, but she said that they were willing to give it to somebody that was in need of it and that would appreciate it. And I just cried in the middle of my work. Um, and she told me that she loved me and that she was very proud of me and for how far I've come. And I know that she knows it hasn't been easy. And I'm just in tears and overwhelmed with joy. Back in the day, I used to feel like everybody owed me something, but that's not necessarily the case. It's what I'm willing to put forth the effort, and other people are able to see that effort being put forth. I'm not sure exactly how this lady knew me, maybe just from where I'm working, but I'm very loud about my recovery. And this community has been very helpful in being supportive of that. Instead of shunning me away because I'm an addict in recovery, people welcome me with open arms. Now, it's not going to be like that everywhere, but if you find the right community, people are willing to help you as long as you're willing to help yourself. Um, and then, being able to be responsible and getting a paycheck and know that I have bills to pay and that I need to go and take care of my priorities instead of just blowing the money and then being like, oh my gosh, I need help. That's not really the case. Which is crazy because there for a while, even though I was sober, I was having a shopping addiction because I wasn't used to being able to have things. So it's a balance. It's definitely a balance. And I'm by no means perfect at all. So, just being able to keep in constant communication with my community, even when I can't get to a meeting, I'm still able to reach out to people, not only that I work with, but even sometimes my customers that come in, that I go to church with, or that know that, I come from a different life and I don't really know all the time all the answers. So being willing to be open-minded and just honest with myself and others has been such a blessing and such a turnaround, instead of trying to hide things or trying to get away with little simple things. Even today, if I mess up at work, I'm the first one to say, hey, boss, check this out. This is what I messed up. This is what I did. How can I fix this? And being able to have a clean conscience at the end of the night to go to bed is what makes me sleep like a baby. I enjoy my sleep today. I'd spent many years, throughout my addiction, not sleeping. And I'm pretty sure that's killed quite a few brain cells, but I feel like some of those have actually been rebuilt, from taking care of myself and being healthy. Also, early in recovery, because I wasn't used to eating actual food, I had gained quite a bit of weight. Well, again, life is about balance, right? So I was able to get down 35 pounds, by cutting out pop or whatever. But, being able to go without for so long and then having that reassurance that you're able to have things provided because you're working, it's kind of crazy and it's a little bit intimidating, you know. But I have to remind myself on a daily basis that I am worthy of this new life. My addiction likes to try to play games with my mind, even though I'm a little over 2.5 years sober, telling me that I'm not worthy of this or that I don't deserve to be happy. I have to switch that around and tell myself I do deserve to be happy. Being in addiction has had quite a few psychological hiccups with me to where I have to retrain my brain sometimes daily, sometimes quite a few times a day. And also having people around me who know me, the person that I am now versus the person who I was before, is super important because since I've gotten sober, I've become a whole new person and I'm still learning who I am. So if you're out there struggling, like you don't have to, that's a choice. And I know addiction, it doesn't feel like you have much of a choice and you just feel like you're stuck in the gutter, but there's always a way out. You know, there's hotlines that you can call to be able to find places close to you to be able to get help. Even, I've never been to an actual inpatient treatment. Like I've gone to Oxford houses and stuff like that, never took it seriously. So of course it didn't work out. But my inpatient was actually jail quite a few times. And I would sober up long enough to get healthy-ish, and then get out and go back and do the same thing over and over again. And that's the insanity, it's doing the same thing over and again, expecting different results. And a lot of these things, are so cliche, but they are so true. I remember being in my addiction, my dad used to tell me all the time, no matter where you go, there you are. And I'm like, what does that even mean? But it's so true. I can't run from myself. And if I'm not happy with myself, then I have to change some things, if not everything. I was told to me when I first was early in sobriety that the only thing that you have to change when you get sober is everything. I had to quit talking to old people who I thought were my friends. I may have cared for them, but with me changing my life, I can't continue to keep talking to those people who are still living that life because that's very detrimental to my recovery and it could easily make me go back out. Even being sober, I do have using dreams, nightmares. Actually, they're not dreams. And I'll wake up and I freak out and I'll have to call my sponsor and call my dad and kind of just talk that kind of situation out, because it can feel so real. And that's the wonderful thing about waking up and having those nightmares and then realizing, oh my gosh, it wasn't real. you know, um, I know that if I were to go back out and use, I would not make it to try to get sober again. I would definitely die of an overdose because my addiction mind, I wouldn't be able to just stop at one or two. I'd be off to the races all over again. My first time of trying to get sober was in 2008, and I didn't get sober until 2022. And I'm very lucky to be able to have had that as a blessing to be able to come back into recovery. A lot of people don't get that second chance. And I hope that if you're listening and you're struggling, that you also are able to have the strength and the courage to stand up and say, I'm tired of living this way. I'm tired of having a crappy life. I'm tired of being homeless or whatever the situation is. Everybody's bottoms are different, and not everybody's stories is going to be the same, but the heartache and the hurts and hangups are all going to be the same. And that's where we come together as a recovery community, is to be able to help those to understand that, hey, you're not so special. Everybody else has gone through some pretty crappy things, if not worse, and it's not a competition of who's had a worse life. It doesn't really matter who you hung out with or how much you had or how much you didn't have. It just matters on wanting to go ahead and get better and help the next person that is reaching out for help. That's how this thing works. You know, just having a recovery supportive community has been such a blessing. And I just know that everybody is able to have that opportunity if they're willing to put in the work. It's not easy. There's some people work 12 steps. Some people go to church. Everybody has a different way of getting sober. So not everybody's path is going to be exactly the same. You have to just kind of find out what works for you. I just know what didn't work for me was my ideas, my thoughts, my plan. I remember telling my dad in my addiction, like, I'm tired of beating my head up against the same wall. He said, or you could try the door. I'm like, oh, that's an option? I thought it was just this one wall. It's crazy. So I just hope that this gives you a little bit of hope to know that things can get better no matter where you're at in life. And I appreciate your support. And until next time, have a blessed day.